Okay, this is section 7, how to evaluate the marketability of an idea.
Why do I need to evaluate the marketability of my idea? Why do I need to research this? Why don't I just go for it?
Well, you can, and that is what probably most people do. But even if a product is patentable, something like 95 to 97% of all patents that are granted aren't commercially viable. And like we mentioned before, almost 95% of the products presented to Wal-Mart they don't buy. So to save you a lot of time, effort, and energy, I think evaluating marketability of an idea before you even create the product is a smart way to do it.
Is there a way to do this that doesn't cost a lot of money? Can we do this without paying focus groups and research companies big money?
Several ways to do it. One thing you can do yourself, if the first step is the way you create your ideas in the first place, if you're a typical inventor and you start with the product or your engineering expertise, you're doing it backwards, and you're going to have a tough time. If you start by finding the starving crowd or the market that wants what you have, then you're going to have a better chance of success. And in that case, how do you find a starving crowd? Well, you can tell that by the marketplace. If you go in a store and you see a lot of products in a given category, obviously there's a market demand for that category. Another way, aside from how to determine a market size that we talked about earlier, is to go to a book called Standard Rate and Data. This is a reference book you'll see in a library. Their website is srds.com. And what you want is the direct mail list and data book. And what that book is, it gives you a good indication of markets because there's 40,000 lists in there that people selling a product by mail are renting the list. So if you look through that book and you see 50 pages of lists in a product category you're looking at, you can go through there and you can add up the number of people on the list times the average sale that they bought, and you can come up with the dollar size of the market. So that's a good way. But once you've found the crowd, then you want to identify a problem that these people have. Look into researching how to solve the problem, which will generally result in better defining what the problem is. Come up with a solution. If you do the process that way, you're starting with the market, and you're going to have a much better chance of success. There's another thing you can do, too, and we're going to talk about this under licensing, but there are evaluation services that will evaluate a product for you and tell you whether they think it's marketable or not, and they'll do that for a reasonably small fee. So that's another thing you want to look at. I got from an internet marketing guy. He said, let's just say at the moment you have an idea, but you don't have a product. And developing the product may cost money. You might have to make tooling, you might have to do engineering work, you might have to do who knows what, but whatever it is involves money. So you can do a survey by email, and what the guy recommends is coming up with 12 product ideas in the category, one of which is the one you're thinking of. And then you send this email survey, which of these products is most appealing to you kind of thing, out to people who would be the target customers and see what comes back. Back to the direct mail list rates and data, they rent email lists as well as physical mailing lists, and you can also poke around the internet. I have a project I'm working on with pregnant women, and I went out on the internet and found half a dozen sites where pregnant women register, and so I talked to the site owner and see what they'll charge me to send out some emails to their list. So you can find them on the internet, or you can find them through direct mail list rates and data. The list is already on the market. Then you're going to find out if your product idea, along with the other 10 you put in this survey, if your idea comes in at the bottom, not good. But what you've done then is you've tested an idea. And there's another way I really like that I've been using myself to do that, is to test an idea and to find out two things about that idea. One, what would be the consumer's intent to buy? How likely are they to buy this thing? And then secondly, what price do they think it's worth? And I have a piece of software that asks just two questions. It asks, how likely are you to buy? It gives you a multiple choice thing. And then it asks you a few questions about price. What price is too high for you to believe it's worthwhile? What is too low? For example, if I offered to sell you a brand new Ferrari for $5,000, that would be too low because you'd know it was hot. So what's too low, what's too high, what's about right? And when people answer those questions with numbers and they give you the intent to buy, they circle one of those, that goes into a piece of software that tells you what percent of the people are likely to buy and at what price you should sell it at. That gives you 2 price points. One is what price is the best one for the maximum amount of upfront sales, and the second price point is what's the best price to get new customers as opposed to one-time sales. That price will be different because now you use that number if you have a back end or future products to sell to that person. So you only need 50 to 60 responses to the survey to put in the software to come up with this. So I like to use that myself for ideas.
Okay, well, how reliable would that be compared to actual consumers voting with their wallet?
Oh, nowhere near as good. It's a first step. The first step, I would do an email survey with the titles. The second step, I do the pricing and likelihood to buy thing. The third step, if you can feasibly do it, is to make a bunch of the products, put them in a store, and see if people will buy them or not. That's the best test. But if what's involved in making the product and put it in a store involves injection molding, tooling, and a whole bunch of other stuff that might cost $100,000, you might want to have some indication you have a winner before you spend that kind of money or try to get it from somebody else. But the best test is somebody giving you their money.
Now, didn't you do this with your stickers where you tested in the stores?
Yeah, with the stickers, we're selling designs, different pieces of artwork. So we were the manufacturer. We could make them inexpensively in small quantities. So we let the market tell us. Every new design we came up with, we put out in 100 of our test stores. We saw who bought it, who didn't. Was it a good idea or a bad idea? And we'd only roll out the good ideas and just discontinue the bad ones. If your product is not expensive to make, the real test is to put it in the store and see if it sells.
All right, do you have some ways for me to research my competition, and is this an integral part in evaluating my product's idea?
Oh, for sure. Because if you have this great idea for this product and you haven't paid attention to your competition, and your product's going to have to sell for $10 when the competition is out there with a similar thing for $5, you're not going far. So assuming now we're talking about retail consumer products, the first thing I do is go to a store or several stores and ask the department manager or store manager, what do they have that will do what you need? Back to the mousetrap example we had before, don't ask them which do they think is the best mousetrap that they have. Ask them what they think is the best way to kill mice. And you might come up with this poison thing that the mice go outside and die outside of your house. If you had an idea for a mouse trap and you didn't ask the question right, you wouldn't find out that there's something that's better than the physical trap. So asking the people in the store, what do they have in their store that will best solve the problem, is an excellent way of doing it, and do that in several kinds of stores that would carry the product. The next thing you need to evaluate is what is your product cost and how does it perform versus the competition. You can use that ballpark rule of thumb I gave you before of 5 times markup from cost to retail. If you see a competitive product that's in a store for $5, divide that by 5, it costs them roughly $1 to make. If you make something that does the same job and it's going to cost you $1.50 to make, you're going to be at a price disadvantage.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. You know, many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.